Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Em and my books are everywhere. Today I'm going to be talking about vintage reads and my recommendations. A vintage read, in my opinion, is a book that is older, at least 50 years or so, but that isn't necessarily considered a classic. I love books that were especially published in the 1920s and 1930s, and I'm not talking just about classic mysteries, although you would think normally of the late 20s and 30s as the golden age of mystery, and I do love Agatha Christie. She is my favorite author, but I would say other books that were published around the same time are some of my favorites, and today I'm going to tell you about 5 of them. I'm going to start with Three Men in a Boat, to say nothing of the dog, and this is by Jerome K. Jerome, and it was published in 1889. And this is the story of Jay and his 2 friends, George and Harris, that take a boat trip with the dog Montmorency, who is one of my favorite dog characters of all time. And it's about their trip down the River Thames, and in spite of all of their planning, everything goes awry, and it's just a funny novel. It's never been out of print as far as I know. This is a book that I pick up when I just want a laugh. It is just fun from beginning to end. It's not very long, and just every chapter is a new misadventure in the story of these 3 gentlemen and the dog. Another one of my favorite vintage reads is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim, and this is the book that I pick up when I'm in the mood for something that's funny, but that's gentle, that reminds me of spring, that has a slowness to it. When I just want a lovely read, I pick this book up. This one was originally published in 1922. And it's about these 2 women that, in the middle of a very drizzly London day, decide that they're going to take a month-long vacation in Italy to get into the sun, to escape the dreariness of their regular lives. But they can't quite afford it on their own, so they're looking for someone to share that expense with. And it ends up that there are a total of 4 of them that go to this castle in Portofino, and it takes place shortly after World War I. Again, this is just lovely writing. It's a beautiful setting. It's funny, but not overpoweringly funny. It's just a very gentle book, and I love this when I'm looking for something lovely. A Damsel in Distress. P.G. Wodehouse is just one of my favorite authors of that period that I love. He just has a sparkling wit, and it's just so funny. The Jeeves and Wooster series of his, I just laugh all the way through it. I think it's great. This is one of his standalone books, and it's one that I pick up quite often. It's great as an audiobook also, and this follows the misadventures, the love misadventures of the family that lives at Belpher Castle, and the people that surround them. This, like I said, is a standalone. It was actually made into a movie starring Fred Astaire. The movie was fine. It was good. It was a Fred Astaire movie, but the book is just so good. If you're looking for a laugh and you enjoy the Bertie Wooster books, then I think you'll like this one too. Damsel in Distress. And this one was published in 1919. Another book that I've talked about before in my channel, and I'll link that video below in my DNF video. This was not the book that I DNF'd. This is Miss Buncle's book by D.E. Stevenson, and this was originally published in 1936. And this is the story of Barbara Buncle, who is in a bind. She has no money. She's run out of her inheritance for the most part, and she feels like the only way that she can actually earn any money is by writing a book, but she doesn't think that she has any imagination. So she just kind of looks around her village and she takes the stories and the characters of the people that live there and she writes her book. When her novel comes out, people start realizing, hey, I know who she's talking about there. This is talking about my neighbor, or this is talking about me. In the book that she writes, there's a character called the Golden Boy that comes to this village, and he changes the lives of the people that live there. And in Miss Buncle's book, Barbara Buncle's book starts to change the lives of the people that live in her village. I love this book. It's funny. I love the setting, the little village, the people in it, all their little foibles, and how they see themselves versus how Barbara sees them. It's just a great fun book. Also in that series is Miss Buncle Married. This one was also published in 1936, and this continues the adventures of Barbara Buncle. And then there is a third book I don't have physically yet, but I am planning on getting it because I do love this series. This third book is The Two Mrs. Abbotts, and I'll put the publication date right here. And that finishes off the story of Barbara Buncle. And again, these were by D.E. Stevenson. And probably my favorite vintage read is Mapp and Lucia. And this is actually the fourth book in the Lucia series by E.F. Benson. This book was originally published in 1931, but the first book in the series is Queen Lucia, and this one was published in 1920. And this starts out the series with the character Emmeline Lucas, who goes by Lucia because she is a fan of the Italian tradition of calling the wives by their husband's name. So since she is Mrs. Lucas, she is Lucia. And she feels like she is the social leader of her little town of Riesholm, and she is the one that sets the trends for what's popular in reading, in any type of activity that happens in the town. When this book opens, she's just coming home from London. Her little foible is that she likes to make things exciting for the people of her town. So when the book opens, she's just coming home from a trip, and she decides, instead of going in the car with her maid and her luggage back home, that she will walk home from the station. And then people will wonder, well, where is she? Because the car's here, the maid's here, the luggage is here, but she's not here. So this is the type of person that she is, and this book is all about what she does in her town to enliven it and to enrich it. And whether she's right or wrong, it's funny for us to read about. Then the adventures continue in Lucia in London. I don't have the physical book copy right here. It's in my bookshelf. But that one is about a trip to London that she takes. The third book in the series is Miss Mapp, and that's about another woman that's very similar to Lucia in another town called Tilling and the people that live there. The fourth book, Mapp and Lucia, this is where Lucia goes to vacation in Tilling and she meets Miss Mapp. So now there's two women that both think that they should be the social leader, and it's how they come together and how they clash. It's just hilarious. It's so funny. Their little one-upmanship that they have, their competition, I love it. So when I want a good laugh and that wonderful village setting, I pick this book up. There's two more after this that continues the adventures of Mapp and Lucia. But this is the one, if I'm only going to read one, I pick this one. But when I'm in a mood for Lucia, then I start at the beginning and read all 6 of them. I wanted to just quickly mention this book. This is a bind-up of Queen Lucia and Miss Mapp. And this is the 2 main books that introduce each one of the characters before Mapp and Lucia. So if you're not wanting to read all 6, I would recommend something like this, the bind up, and then go into Mapp and Lucia. But I love this series. That one's my favorite. If you guys are interested in vintage reads at all and haven't tried any, I recommend any of these 5 that I've talked about to start with. If you like vintage reads and you have some favorites that I didn't mention, please put it in the comments below. I'm always happy to find more vintage reads and to get your suggestions. And if you have any questions about these books or want to know if there's another vintage read that I may have read and can give you some information about, please put that in the comments below also. Thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.